So, what is a horror comedy? A horror comedy, in my opinion, is a film primarily set in the horror subject matter, scary monster, psychopathic killer, demons from another dimension, what have you, that happens to have a fairly large amount of humour in it. Now, please bear in mind that a clever writer will be able to throw humour into any story. That doesn't necessarily make it a horror, or that doesn't necessarily make it a comedy, I should say, but it does mean that there's humour in it. A good horror comedy, on the other hand, is designed intentionally to present horrifying things in comical circumstances. It is not the scary movie crap. That isn't horror, that isn't comedy, that is stupid pratfalls, idiotic parody jokes, and a complete and utter lack of originality. Do you want to know why? Because hey, I'm a stoner, I get baked all the time, and I don't think that crap is funny. What I do think is that it is killing my mind every second that it is on, withering my soul and my will to live. By comparison, of course, such films as Army of Darkness remain classics. The Critters series is another one, perhaps not the first one, well, to a lesser extent. Certainly the second and third. The fourth one is, they tried to be a little bit more serious, but I digress. There are a plethora of movies that have been made designed to be both funny and a little bit at least terrifying. However, there has also been a lot of films that have tried and failed in this mark. I'm not going to rant about them for one simple reason. They were going out of their way to try to make a horror film with comedy elements. They were not trying to rip off horror films with cheesy fart jokes, big tits, no clothes, stupid humour, and lack of brain cells. Scary movie, you gits, you horrible, horrible gits, and all the crap that you spawned. There are a few horror comedy movies that I have yet to review. That one about the trucker versus evil, I was showing it a few minutes ago, I've already, Tucker versus evil, I think. I've been meaning to watch that, haven't gotten around to it. I have watched My Name is Bruce, which was a deliberate attempt to recapture Bruce Campbell's glory in, and also make fun of the Evil Dead films. It was done well, I think a better version of a horror comedy was actually his movie Bubba Hotep. In fact, now that I think about it, I think most of the decent horror comedies I've seen have had Bruce Campbell in them. Maybe it's just a coincidence, maybe he's good at what he does. Of course, an awful lot of the terrible ones I've seen have had Bruce Campbell in them as well, so it's alright though, he's back on top thanks to Burn Notice. Anyway, what would I look for in a horror comedy? I would look for a film in which everything about it screams bowel-loosening terror. Except that, funny stuff happens to happen in the middle of it. Cabin in the Woods, I think, was a prime example, especially considering the way that it went. They had elements that were obviously straight-faced, no balls about it comedy. Maybe not pratfalls, but intelligent humour. Some of the best jokes were about a stoner. Point is, that had all the elements there. It did have the horror aspect, which was obviously downplayed by, other things in it. I don't want to talk too much about the film if you haven't seen it, but it's a good example of the horror comedy. I would like to see more films like that. Fortunately, and I thank the gods for this, I don't think I've had to put up with having any of those ridiculous, stupid parody things thrown in my face in a while, unless they've made another scary movie thing. I'm being informed they have. Sorry. My soul was throwing up there for a second. We're good. Please, for any of you out there that are aspiring movie makers, for any of you out there that actually might have a bit of budget, please, for the love and honour of the gods, I beg of you, if you're going to do a horror movie, if you are going to put comedy elements into it, think before you act. Do not take away from the fear aspect that is the core of a horror. Do not relegate your humour to stupid jokes based on stupid people being stupid, which takes away from comedy and brain cells in an alarming rate. Do look at examples that have gone before you, such as some of the ones that I've already mentioned. Bubba Hotep, the Evil Dead movies are prime examples. In fact, one can even say that there are certain aspects of the Romero franchise, particularly in Land of the Dead, and to a lesser extent, all these zombie movies, which incorporated comedy mainly as a part of social commentary. But then again, that's some of the best stuff. Some of the best stories are social commentary. Some of the best horror stories are social commentary. Good gods, the monster in the closet, big bad government. Ooh, did I say that one out loud? Ah well, never mind. Please, revisit the notion of horror comedies not as pratfalls, not as gags, but as serious stories that can make you laugh, maybe make you cry, and quite possibly make you have to change your pants. It'll be fun. End of discussion.